just like to make a quick shout out to Adtal Creations. Check him out on Facebook. The link is in the comments. Basically, this amazing guy makes custom-made arcade cabinets and many other things. So go check him out. Locally made here in Melbourne. Amazing work. Very enthusiastic with customers. And if this guy's attention to detail is second to none. So definitely check him out. Support him. This is not a sponsored shout-out. This is merely just, appreciation. Appreciation. So there you go. Adtal Creations on Facebook.
And that brings me on to my next guest, very special guest I'm quite excited to have. I've known these guys online for many years now, probably since 2016. These guys inspire me to travel quite a lot, even to dine out. Just like to welcome Rachel and Nick.
Hello.
Hello. What an introduction.
You guys deserve a great introduction, man. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
I've been so excited ever since you guys said that you would come on,
Oh, we're pumped. This is, I think this is our first podcast.
Yeah,
first
definitely.
Yeah.
official podcast.
It is.
Oh, that's an honor. Yeah. So we'll get into it. I think what I'll do, because I've never done two people at the same time, I think what I'll do is I'll do maybe 20 minutes one at a time. So we go back from the start.
Sure.
I think maybe what we'll do is start with you, Nick. Let's we need to understand what it was like for Nick growing up, because I've watched so many of your videos. And I've only seen you guys from, when you started posting.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't know what the young Nick playing soccer was like, or football. Sorry.
Yeah, no, spot on.
Yeah. So when were you born and where were you born, brother?
When was I born? In the 80s, in the early 80s, 82.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, similar to me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Young buck.
Yeah. Well, I don't feel like a young buck anymore. But, I was born in Brisbane, in Queensland. Played a lot of soccer when I was young, being born to Latino parents, Chileans. So, I've got a Chilean background. Spent a lot of my young days outdoors. I was an outdoors kid, like most Brisbane kids, I guess.
Us 80s babies, yeah.
Yeah, the 80s babies. There wasn't any Netflix or any streaming thing. So when you loved the show, you had to wait a whole week to watch it, and you might have missed it. So,
and Nintendo and Sega, came a little bit later. But,
exactly. So I remember playing the Commodore 64. So, that's pretty much my childhood. A lot of sport, a lot of music. I got into a lot of music when I was younger.
Performing?
Probably in my early 20s, did a lot of performing. So, did a lot of gigs around Melbourne.
Ah, okay.
And that was probably my first kind of creative outlet, and what kind of led to video creating, I guess.
Oh, nice. Your parents were born in Chile?
Yeah. So they were born in Chile, and in the 70s there was like a military coup. So they came down to, they were kind of forced out of the country.
Oh, really?
So they were kind of had to flee in the 70s, and they already had some kids over in Chile, so half my brothers were born in Chile, and the other half, there's quite a few of us. There's like
I was just gonna say, I know you got a big family.
Yeah, it's like 5 brothers, 1 sister, and the other half of us were born in Brisbane.
So, do you have a lot of nieces and nephews?
Yeah, there's a lot of them now. Yeah, so
shout out to the nephews and nieces.
There's many of them, and every birth there seems to be a birthday every weekend. So
yeah, it would be.
Yeah.
All right. So, was there any other odd things that you got into besides football and the music?
I was pretty kind of straight kid. I wasn't like a rebel by any means. Always stuck by the rules. Very quiet kid, actually. Yeah. But music was always my passion. That was was my kind of crazy outlet. Up on stage and stuff like that. Me and my brother decided to do in 2010 80 gigs in 80 days.
Oh,
And
wow.
so we played one gig every night in a row for 80 days. And that was something that was, it was absolutely insane at the time. And we were sponsored by Beat Magazine, and we had some good kind of support from local bands and everything. And that was something that really kind of shaped that decade for me and really kind of got me out of wanting to work 9 to 5 in a very normal job, I guess.
Oh, awesome. What's like the earliest memory that you have?
The earliest memory?
Yeah.
My memory is shocking. My earliest memory is probably from my childhood in Brisbane, like in primary school, that kind of thing. Nothing like intense or anything, but I just, I remember being in class, playing around with friends and that kind of thing. I know some people think that they can remember even like, I don't know what people's earliest memories are. Some people say some pretty ridiculous things, but probably my earliest memories probably at about 6 or 7, but very vague. Yeah.
As it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
No worries.
Now we'll move on to Rachel.
Yeah.
Similar questions.
So I am from South Korea.
South Korea.
And more specifically from Incheon. Actually, I lived in Seoul for about 13 years, and then we moved to Incheon, and I don't know
how far away is that from?
It's very
Seoul.
close. I think it takes about 40 minutes. Yeah, so it's quite quick. But I think the housing prices are much better in Incheon. But I always preferred Seoul. Seoul is much better. Just like here, Seoul people are a bit more sophisticated, more educated. That's how I feel anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
So just like probably, I kind of guess Melbourne has that sort of culture too, depending on the suburb, and people act different. And yeah, Seoul is a bit like that. So I'm from Incheon/Seoul. And my childhood is quite dark, so I don't know if you're
it's up to you.
ready for it. So Nick always
I always tell people that sharing can help people,
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, I always share my stories with Nick, and he's like, another Rachel's sad
it's always
story.
like a sad Korean movie. Like, it always ends badly. I feel so bad because
maybe it starts badly, but
No, I think I now embraced my childhood, and recently I had a very deep talk with my family, and it's actually a weight off my shoulders. It's just really nice. So I don't mind talking about it, and I'd
love to hear it.
Yeah, I kind of believe in the fact sometimes you got to just instead of avoiding problems, and you should just embrace them, and that's just part of who you are.
Exactly.
I hope it doesn't sound so corny, but
no, it makes up your fabric,
Exactly. So so I was brought up by my dad. My mom left when I was 4. So I don't quite...
Very vague, memories.
Yeah, I don't quite remember her face because we had pictures, but my sister, she removed all of them, I think, out of her anger towards her. So, I've got... I have 3 family members, except for me. So, with me, it's gonna be 4. Yeah, so 1 sister, older sister, and 1 younger brother, and my dad. So we lived in both Seoul and Incheon, and not having a mom is such a bizarre experience because here I feel like in the Western world it's quite common that people divorce and they
very common.
Yeah, they remarry, and also it's just. I think as a child, they seem to just accept the new situation, and no one really judge the whole family depending on their family issue.
Oh, you mean here?
Yeah,
Or-
not really here. Not
Here's
really. It's not really. It's not even a
accepted
thing.
and-
Yeah, it's not a thing. But in Korea, I mean, Korea
Honor,
has a lot of beautiful parts of it, but it definitely has some sort of. I don't know. I
There's
mean,
a
I can
stigma.
only speak for myself, but as a child who didn't have a mom, my life was a bit harder than others. I
it
mean,
would be. Yeah.
people were like, she doesn't have a mom. Even like, just always, I felt. I
people
felt
be
it.
very judgy.
Yeah, very judgy. Yeah. Anyway, but as I got older, I think kids can be very brutal.
Oh, very.
Very brutal. Like it was
Blindly.
Yeah, it was like I got teased many times because I don't have a mom. But as I got older, I think people got to learn that this is something that you shouldn't make a joke of. So it got better. And it's not like I mean, my dad, he
probably worked a lot too. Yeah.
he worked a lot, but also he had this alcohol problem, and that was quite difficult to handle. So we were all, the four of us, living in one house, and I was always scared of him, and but he always had
like aggressive.
He wasn't aggressive. That's one good thing. But he's one of those who get drunk and just
silly,
non-stop talking. People who get
This is a
very
way of
talkative.
coping,
It's like a way
with
of
3 kids. That's
exactly. So I think that's probably because when he had us, he was about my age, or about 30 or something. So my mom left, and he was alone to
raising
really
kids alone.
raise us. Yeah. So I mean, but anyway, so he wasn't aggressive, and he has a kind heart. I think that's the important thing. He always had a kind heart, and but he didn't know how to raise kids
or to cope with
Exactly.
raising kids and the balancing. Providing for 3 kids is that's I can only imagine just how difficult it would be psychologically for him.
Exactly. I think he was overwhelmed by the situation. I think he but I do understand him, and like, even though that I felt I was kind of neglected when I was younger, but I always believed that he has a kind heart, and he really does.
That's good.
Yeah, he's very empathetic, and he definitely, because in that situation, many people would have tried something different. They would have gone to a different path, but he always wanted to be straight. So he wanted all of us to go to uni. Always wanted to have the maybe not the
best
perfect life.
opportunities,
Yeah, exactly. So he was trying anyway. So I don't hold a grudge against him.
Yeah.
But my childhood was quite difficult, and so so I was a normal kid in Korea.
So how old is your younger brother?
My younger brother,
Is he a couple years younger?
a couple of years younger than me. So my family, all of them live in South Korea, and I'm the only one.
Oh, they still live there.
Yeah, they're very different to me. Very, very different to me. Yeah, so I always had this idea of going overseas. Like, my dream was just stepping on.
It's a beautiful match, eh?
Yeah. Stepping on a country where it was built up by other people, but Koreans. And so I always had this dream, and I moved to Australia in 2012. And then it's funny because I was telling Nick, before moving to Australia, I was so sad because at that point I was living with my sister, and we were like friends, family. We were everything. We saw each other. We always just we always relied on each other, but then had to leave her. Like I felt like I was in despair. But then I left South Korea, and then
like a little guilt. I
yeah,
guess.
little guilt.
But you shouldn't feel guilty.
Exactly. I feel like I'm getting much better. Yeah, it's just I definitely felt sort of guilt. I wasn't quite. I didn't know, but I had this extreme guilt. Like whenever I feel happy, I feel like this is like
not supposed to be this happy.
Yeah, exactly. That's I still have this. Like I've got this anxiety
you should be
issue,
happy.
but I should be happy. I deserve happiness.
Yes,
but
everyone does.
Exactly. So at first I wasn't used to it, and so when I first came to Australia, I just really loved this country. I didn't mean to stay here as long as now, but yeah,
it's a beautiful thing, you know.
Yeah, and so we my story is too long. I hope it doesn't. No. Yeah, it's just it doesn't bore you or something.
No, it actually doesn't. I'm very intrigued. Yeah, I just want to say, like, with people, you know, hurt people, you know. So if you feel like you shouldn't be happy, then, in my opinion, you're gonna give off that behavior.
Yeah.
But you know, you would want other people around you to be happy.
Exactly.
The best way to do that is to find in your own self the inner peace. So that way, it's like the energy passes on to each.
It's so true. Yeah, it's so true. It's like, you know, people say you got to love yourself first to love others.
Yes,
and
so
it's
true.
So true because I think when I was younger, I didn't really like...
most people don't understand that, you know.
It's because, you know, if you think about it, like, your life is totally depending on what your parents do. Where you live
from the beginning, and it kind of sets you up.
It sets you up, like
but it doesn't mean that you stay on that course.
No,
like,
no.
You as an example,
exactly, because like, it's just your childhood maybe shape you up, but it doesn't mean that's it. You know, you can change, and I think that's what exactly happened to me. Like
it's all part of growth and growing. Yeah.
Definitely. I got to learn about myself a lot more. Like since I moved to Australia, I felt like I saw myself more objectively. Sort of, So, and also after coming to this country, my life was very strange, to be honest. Even before meeting Nick, it's just. I don't know. My life's full of
it's a different world, isn't it, on this side?
Exactly.
I haven't been to Korea yet.
Yeah.
But I can only imagine.
It's a very different world. But also here, it's just I haven't experienced a lot of very, I don't know,
new
extreme things anyway. So I was really confused, and even I worked on a farm for a bit, and that was a unique experience as well. And
it's all unique.
Yeah. And then I met Nick, and
introduced Nick.
Yeah. Since I met Nick, I think my life's been actually it's not, it's still interesting because we move overseas, and
you get to share these moments.
That's true. That's a really good point, because now I have somebody that I can talk to, and he understands like what it's like. Yeah.
So your English is quite good, like really good.
Thank you.
Did you learn that before you came, or?
No, I was really bad at just studying in general. Seriously,
after you had moved.
So I learned English after I moved to Australia. But I mean, I knew like a few phrases, and you know, I learned the new words. But in terms of speaking, like I think I learned it here. Yeah, probably. Okay. Yeah, maybe also with the help of Nick.
Yeah,
I learned a lot too.
Because I love languages, you know, and you know, one day I want to become a hyper polyglot, you know, speak different languages, you know, learn Spanish, you know, and all sorts. So I really admire that. Yeah,
you should. I mean,
I'm trying. My partner's Russian, so
Oh, that's cool.
the main one that I've, I can speak more Russian than my own native language in NZ. But I still aim to learn more. Tudeo Māori is what we call it.
I think it's really cool. Yeah. I think Russian is fascinating too. Yeah, it's good.
Also, thank you for sharing that. That's awesome.
No worries.
It's different to hear that side of you guys, because I've been a big fan of you guys for years,
And it's funny how you realize everyone has their story.
Oh, everyone's got a story.
Everyone has a story.
That's like when you ask what's the theme? That's the story, Everyone's got their own unique story.
Yeah.
And I love to hear it.
That's great.
All right. And now we come together.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so when did you guys meet?
When was it? About 8 years ago?
2013 or something. Yeah, something like that. So we met up at a pub.
At a bar called Prudence.
Yeah,
in North
Prudence.
Melbourne. It's a small little bar.
It's a very nice bar, actually.
Yeah.
Was it like a meetup or?
No,
it was just.
We had a table like as big as this,
similar to this,
and I had a few friends next to me, and he had also his company, and they just combined.
It was, I think some of my brothers were there. Yeah, one of my brothers was there, and then there was a few of my mates. It was, I think, his birthday, and we were just going out for some drinks. And then the place was packed. So it was literally the only spot left in the whole place, and it was next to Rachel and her group. And then just from there, we got to talking. And
just talking.
It's funny, like how random moments change lives. It's so
exactly.
odd. I always find that so strange.
From that small pub in North Melbourne, turned into the Drunken Bear, and then Rachel and Nick.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So bizarre.
Yeah. To be honest, he said he's a musician. That got me, actually, because I really like music.
There's the trick.
That's the trick. So when did you guys decide to start the Drunken Bear?
Well, I think that was a few years after we met. We had, I had this brief idea.
So was it your idea? Because it does sound like a bit of a Korean kind of theme.
That's true. Yeah, you know why? Because as you can
see...
Bit
cute,
exactly. As you can see, all the videos, I was inspired by some of the Korean kind of travel shows. And I just love the concept of finding a unique place to go. It's like, I don't know, did you say you haven't been to Korea?
I haven't, no, but I definitely need to go.
Yeah.
North and South.
Yeah, you should definitely, because it's got heaps of cool, weird, quirky places. And I loved going to these places, and I realized Melbourne has those places too.
Okay,
so
you'll have to let me know.
Yeah. So we wanted to just document that those places, and I didn't know what platform we were gonna use, but that was Nick's idea.
So I was watching at that time, just kind of stumbled. I think also from meeting Rachel, I was starting to look up stuff about Korea just to kind of know a bit more about it.
Yeah.
And there was this channel called Eat Your Kimchi, and it was just this
about
Canadian
kimchi.
couple that were living in Seoul. And they were quite literally almost doing what we were already doing, but without a YouTube channel. And so I thought, why don't we use YouTube? Just upload videos of us hanging out at cafes and bars and stuff.
Good concept.
Yeah.
We've got some of the best cafes in the world here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And there's always like some hidden bars and cafes down laneways.
Yeah, that's what I love about the city.
Yeah, absolutely love it. So we were doing it anyway, so we thought, why not bring a camera along with us?
A lot of people don't know what it's really like, the laneways,
Oh, yeah.
The magic of it.
Oh, yeah. And it was eye-opening at first because we're both not extremely confident people by any means, and we're not like the loud ones that enter a room or anything. And so coming into these venues and propping our camera down and like literally almost doing a live show with everyone around us, it was hard.
It's nerve-wracking.
I
tried to do it like you guys, but it was too much.
It's very hard.
Yeah.
It's good you have each other
it
That's
makes a bit
On your
difference.
own, it's pretty difficult. Yeah.
Oh, well, we got a bear too in the beginning.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
the beginning we brought our
Osito,
bear
eh?
along too.
Yeah, Osito was there, and
Still remember.
Yeah, Osito, and yeah, people would look at us. Of course, we had literally we plonked our tripod on the table, had our little a bear in between us, and we were like doing it.
yeah.
And it was interesting, but it really kind of got us into it, and it kind of got us out of our comfort zone.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, it's still hard to this day.
It's very hard.
Like going random, and we try to now approach venues before we go to them.
And just kind of let them know.
Yeah. and
Sometimes
let
they
them
could be accommodating. I
exactly.
guess.
That's why now we give them that chance, because sometimes they want to help us out by, doing things that makes our life easier for the filming and stuff. And sometimes they want to be in it, and sometimes, they want to make it a bit of more of a big thing for them.
It's a win-win.
Yeah, so it's a win-win. So we try to do that now, but every now and again we'll also just walk into a place and just start filming.
You guys have had quite a bit of practice, so
Yeah, we've had a lot of practice.
That's true.
But it's still very difficult, and when we're doing it overseas, it's probably a little bit easier overseas in some ways.
I think so. Because I think subconsciously, you're not going to see these people again.
Yeah,
That's true.
They don't know your family. And,
That's true. And also they speak another language, even though they can understand English, but still kind of,
Well, you don't have to deal with the repercussion of, them chatting and
that's
saying
true.
some things.
But actually, speaking of the experience in other countries, is that I felt kind of hard to film sometimes, because some people in some countries, they got really offended.
Oh, okay. What's an
It's
example?
filming.
Just some countries really dislike,
Or like cameras.
they dislike
on.
cameras in general. Like, for instance, if you're in South
Privacy,
Korea, like everyone will be on their phone taking pictures. Like everyone will look like they're an Instagrammer. Whereas even in Australia, you don't see it that often. And when someone's doing it, they often are some kind of influencer. So some countries like South Korea, constantly have their phone out and cameras. But other countries, I can't think of any.
Is it more like Eastern European countries?
Sweden was very
European.
No, it's
very
actually the opposite. Eastern Europeans, they are more open to like cameras. But like Sweden or Germany, those countries more richer European.
And it can be quite
countries.
confronting, because you walk in with a camera and they're like, turn that off. Like, they're really intense about it too.
Yeah.
And you're in a different country and you get
Very.
scared. But we try to not let it stop us and keep, like, obviously we're doing it respectfully, and, we're never filming anyone and all the rest of it. But, it can be tricky. And
bit of a cultural thing.
It
maybe.
is. It's definitely a cultural thing. And of course, once you're going overseas, it also is the issue of race too, which is, it's just me and Rachel stand out. Like,
I think I've seen some videos recently of like an Asian woman walking around in Germany and just people being very openly rude to her,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can totally imagine that. It's funny that you get really used to not even racism, but just more like odd things. Just for instance, like, I didn't realize how much attention I receive overseas. Like, being an Asian woman in a country like Romania sticks out. Yeah, like you stick out. So, other countries, even I don't know, even Sweden, or just all these even rich countries you expect lots of immigrants are, still they have this really. But I can't really insult them, because some of them have just this curious look. They're just curious, like, who are you? More like they're more. But some people can come off quite rude. So my look was definitely a thing. And when I first came back to Brisbane, I kind of realized, it's weird. I don't get the attention anymore. It's just really, it's funny that it becomes like, now no one cares. No one look at you more than 3 seconds. But like, but in Europe.
Probably if I go to Korea, I'll stand out,
You will. You're definitely.
With my height and complexion.
That's true. So, exactly. Like, I don't blame people to look at me. Sometimes it feels sort of good sometimes because you are very special in the place.
You're special anyway, you know.
Everyone's
unique. You know?
That's true.
No one else can be you.
Yeah, that's true. But definitely, we got to learn so much about what it means, like being an ethnic person in a country where predominantly white people are. It's just definitely it's a bit different. Yeah.
Intimidating sometimes.
Well, I've never felt intimidated, but I got annoyed sometimes because some places had these people that sometimes this is really I don't think it's a great idea to say hi in another like Asian language.
Oh, okay.
And that sort of things happen.
Yeah, she gets a lot of like konnichiwa and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's
it's like
a little bit offensive.
They just assume.
They assume,
like, but like, yeah, they assume so konnichiwa or ni hao. They never get it right. Yeah. They never get it right.
They never get it right. Yeah. That's funny. But we had less problems in real life than we had online. But like that's the online world. Like,
online
world, we really saw the racist comments fly in.
Wow.
Overseas.
Yeah, it's
what do you mean? Like as you're filming or like online?
No.
Just after we've put the video up. We see
like
how
it's funny.
Really?
Oh yeah, so many. It's incredible.
Many. Still coming. Yeah.
It's still like I keep like on YouTube. You've got like
I haven't seen it. I've seen like a lot of positivity. You know.
Oh yeah, definitely.
On your comments.
It's still mainly positive.
Yeah.
But there's probably a lot of odd ones here and there that, you know, probably a lot of other people don't see, like
there's
myself.
Some weird ones.
Definitely.
Well, on YouTube, you've got like a filter.
Weird anyway.
There's like this filter where you put in words and those words won't show up in the comments.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so I've just...
swear words. Or...
Yeah, so the one that I've added, there's so... if
so
you read
put
it,
in
it's pretty
words,
funny.
yeah?
There's so many swear words
dude.
in there. Every swear word and bad thing I can think of, I've had to write in. But I keep missing them. And sometimes something will come like... Damn, I got to throw that word in now, and I just got to keep adding to the list.
So a lot, eh? The traffic, this
a fair amount, especially
kind of trolling.
When a video goes semi-viral or anything,
it attracts all sorts of people. Yeah.
It does, because then you're appearing on people's feeds that just random.
Yeah.
So they're not looking for that.
Percentage-wise, you're going to have those sorts of people's attention.
Yeah. So we get some doozies.
Yeah, to be honest, like I didn't know how to deal with them. These race-related comments.
But it's online, you know?
Yeah, it's online, but it's funny because
you don't
really...
hear the context behind what they're saying, you know, what made them see something in you.
Exactly.
You know,
it's just, it's kind of mind-blowing because...
Helpless. You feel helpless.
Yeah, it's a bit... Sometimes,
you don't want people to feel that way towards you.
No, and the thing is, you had such a great day in a place, I don't know, just any country anyway. You had such a good day, but then your perception kind of changes because that's how people were looking at you. It kind of...
To a small degree, you know?
It was hard to take in. Definitely it was very hard, like, because even when we were in Melbourne, we got those racist comments every now and then, or hate comments every now and then. But
that's a
overseas, shame. It's it's a totally different. Wow,
I think because we're both look a little different, depending on where you're from, and so we get prejudice from both ends. But the funniest thing is that we've never got prejudice from our actual backgrounds. Like Rachel's never got prejudice from being Korean, and I've never got prejudice from being Chilean. It's always
Muslim.
It's always I get like all the anti-Muslim comments.
Really?
And Rachel gets all the anti-Chinese comments. So it makes it even funnier.
Way off.
Way off.
That's what makes it even weirder. Is that you get all this racism, and you get to feel like what it's like to be from a different race.
That's true. Yeah, it's just at least to get it right then, but never get it right.
The fact that they don't get it right is in itself.
Yeah. They have not once got it right. Like we've got like I don't know, hundreds,
many.
Hundreds.
Yeah,
hundreds.
At least.
That's crazy.
But not once has it ever been the right.
Yeah,
the right kind of racism.
That's something you have to expect being like a content provider online. Yeah.
I think so.
It is true
and
because
you can have the most innocent channel
Mm.
and be whoever, but like if the views start going up, the trolls start coming.
yeah, but also it has. I mean, we try to see the good, and the truth is
That's
some
the key, isn't it?
yeah, some people in certain countries were very accommodating. Like I like think twice about them now because, like for instance, for me,
That's a good point.
yeah,
Because you could get 10 positive comments, but
Yeah.
the one,
Negative.
that's the one you
always hits-
focus on.
Yeah.
Negative hits you hard.
it
does.
hits your heart.
Yeah.
It hits your heart. That's true. But
So
like
don't disregard all the positive stuff.
exactly, it's very. Yeah, I think it's one of the hardest things.
And we've gotten better at it because in the beginning, like when we got like our first few negative comments, it's really intense because we didn't know about the online world and the trolls and all that.
Yeah, you gave them no
together-
reason to.
Oh, you think
know?
about like I can still remember the comments from like 6 years ago, and like it was one
Oh,
comment,
yeah.
whereas I can't remember all the positive ones from 6 years ago.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
it's funny, but we've gotten a lot better at it. And
We need to
really,
put the power back into the positive
oh,
comments.
exactly, and that's
Yeah.
what we tell each other. Like always look back on the positive.
Yeah.
And some of them are just incredibly nice. You're like, how can you be
Yeah.
so nice to a stranger? You don't know me, and you're just saying the most
Yeah.
lovely things.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just incredible.
The
So
online world,
Yeah.
cruel. Yeah, it's very cruel.
At the
Yeah,
moment,
it is.
things will probably change.
I think so. Yeah,
but the best has been like when we meet people offline and when we actually see them on the streets. That just makes you feel so wonderful.
Yeah.
Like
that's true.
it
Yeah,
really makes it worth it.
Yeah.
It's
Kind of like now, eh?
Yeah, exactly.
exactly. That's another good part. Yeah, we met lots of very good people, and some of them became our friends.
Yeah.
And that's so lovely because if we hadn't started a YouTube channel, that couldn't have happened.
Yeah, both people watching our channel, but also other content creators and things like that. And you meet the most interesting people.
Yeah.
And it can be life changing. It really can be.
Wow. That's cool. Very interesting to hear that side of the story, you know? Yeah, so I guess another intriguing thing to talk about is like actually your guys' strategy on like the living side of things, because you guys traveled for numerous years. So how do you guys, actually survive doing that?
Wow.
What are some of the things you guys have been doing in the background?
It's hard. You can't survive.
Because I know it's hard.
Yeah, because I mean, we briefly talked about this in our previous video. We're not made of money, that's for sure. But I think I had this mentality that when I was in Korea, even though we were living in a more, I'd never say in poverty because that's not true, but I don't think,
like
we didn't have
class
enough
in your
money
mind?
anyway. Yeah, our family didn't have like so much money anyway. So the thing is, I still like kind of learned that I need to save our money, like saving money. That
very
sort of
important,
thing was like,
Being very conservative with your resources.
exactly. That was ingrained in me, and I passed that on to Nick, and Nick
But you would
became-
have it too, yeah, Nick?
Well, I was terrible at it, to
Really?
be honest. Like, I think I've got, I don't know if it's just me, but I know a lot of my Aussie friends as well, too. It's you kind of live paycheck to paycheck. You're like, you're waiting for the next one. And it doesn't matter how
that's
much
so
your
common,
paycheck goes up, you're still like spending it on booze and going out and all the rest of it. But Rachel really helped me with my saving and like, and it made me realize too, it's just like so much of it was just wastage. Like, and you can really still do all the things you want to do, but you can still always be putting away.
It's important to put away. Yeah.
It is.
It is.
And it was thankfully because of that and just doing a few kind of little tricks of the trade online as well too, we'll manage to save enough to go overseas for a long period of time. And just in general, like we do things kind of on the cheap, like getting always the cheap flights and always things like that.
Yeah,
like
I think
really
that's important.
researching a lot.
And kind of limiting yourself. Like, of course, we'd like
the
to
same
visit
thing.
like a fancy museum in France, but we have to think like in the future, if we want to stay in another country for a few days, maybe we should, put that plan away and just do something. Sometimes we just cooked at home, even though we were overseas, we still tried to cook at home. And
we did a lot of house sitting.
House sitting was a big part.
That was a really big one, looking after cats and dogs overseas.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Yeah,
that was really good.
That was a good one. Also, we got to learn. I mean, this is gonna be our next video, but we got to learn the pros and cons of house sitting too.
Oh, exclusive.
Just we always thought it's just a great way to travel and save some money on accommodation.
A lot of people want that service.
Exactly.
And you see the local side, because you're out in the suburbs usually, not like smack bang in the middle of the city.
It is true. You can do that.
Yeah, that's a smart way.
There was just a whole lot of range of certain things. Like also from our YouTube, like we tried to use a lot of just the AdSense we were getting in, but also, putting links in our descriptions. So, like with our Airbnb.
Like affiliate.
Well, like with our Airbnb, for instance, like we never paid for our Airbnb, even though we kept doing heaps of Airbnb because people were clicking on that
using the link,
and just our credit kept going up.
That's
And even though we weren't like a massive channel, it was enough to make a massive difference. Working with tourism boards too. So before we left, we made sure to contact all the different tourism boards of the cities that we were living in.
Hotels.
And to our surprise, they were on board. So
I mean, why not? So, kind of like promoting their business.
Yeah, so things like that made a big difference. Like when we were in Paris, we didn't have to pay for public transport because it was all free, and they offered all that. And going to certain places, bars and restaurants, and we got like in Budapest, they paid for a trip to go on the Danube, and think just
a little tour,
tours and little things like that, like staying in hotels,
all the perks of
all the
doing content for
the whole influencer perks kind of thing. So that all like it all adds up to really make it kind of roll along.
Oh, nice. And had we not had this pandemic, you guys probably would still be going on.
Yeah, it's quite possible.
I think so. Yeah. This pandemic really changed our lives.
It really changed our direction
because everyone. Yeah.
Well,
that's true.
We just got back from our trip and we kind of stumbled into like having a videography business, and Rachel was doing a lot of like real estate editing and stuff like that. So we're making real estate videos.
Yeah, I remember I saw something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So then the pandemic hit and just everything kind of changed. And
so it changed that as well.
Yeah. So that kind of forced us to make a decision to either come back to Melbourne, where our kind of support base was our family, friends, so we could kind of, because we hadn't even rented a place yet in Brisbane. We only just got back and we were thrown into this thing, and we're pooling all of our resources into that, getting our gear up, getting, a bit more professional gear and all that kind of thing. So we're putting all our money into the business while doing house sitting at the time. So we hadn't even found a house, and the pandemic hit, and we're like, we don't even have a house, and we can't isolate if, we get it or anything. So we got to get out of there. So we just literally chucked all of our things in our car and drove down to Melbourne.
That time was seriously one of the most stressful times.
I was just going to ask,
it was incredibly stressful.
Because think about it, you were doing house sitting, and you were relaxing, working on videos and stuff, and suddenly you get a text message saying the house owner,
she was actually going on a cruise, and suddenly, like exactly when it hit, she was getting stopped from going on the boat, something along those lines.
Then
in Caribbean,
so she didn't get on the boat.
Yeah, so we had booked like this place for like about a month or so it was a long stay, and then suddenly she's saying, I've got to come back. And we had
like, where are we going?
Yeah,
exactly.
And then you see around panic buying, and then
exactly. So
it's like this is the beginning of something like
exactly.
And it
apocalyptic.
It felt very apocalyptic. Like that's I still remember the day, like having to go to a shop for the road trip and just couldn't get anything. Like you really couldn't get anything, and like it was really intense.
No place to stay.
No,
couldn't get essential groceries.
It was really, really full on. So, yeah, we just had to make the call. It was either that or stay in like a caravan park kind of situation in Brisbane. And we were just
Probably
like,
wouldn't cater for your gear and stuff like that.
yeah, it didn't kind of work for the whole isolating and everything. We're just like, is real estate's probably going to close down too. We didn't know what extent at that point.
Yeah.
And so we just made the call and just thought, look,
Came
we've
down
got
here.
family down here. We can stay at my brother's place, so.
That's good. Yeah.
So we did that, and so
It's all working out there.
yeah, it kind of changed our direction massively.
Yeah, it really did. Yeah, that was out of nowhere. Even when this pandemic started to happen in Australia, like some of the people we knew were kind of laughing or like
dismissing,
they didn't
dismissive.
think of it like seriously.
Honestly, I don't think it'll be this long.
Yeah,
this long and this big.
I think it'll be like maybe 3 to 4 months.
Yeah.
Like, and then what's the next thing? Because we had the fires.
Oh,
that was a
yeah.
big thing.
That was massive at the time.
That's
We had,
massive.
smoke everywhere, dust everywhere. And then the pandemic's like, okay. Ride this out for 3 months and then there'll be another thing.
It was pretty intense.
It was really weird. Yeah, definitely. We're very we kind of see ourselves very lucky because we got to travel overseas before this pandemic.
Yeah,
So
if our plan had been like a year later or two,
so lucky. Yeah, I
wouldn't
agree.
have got to experience all of that. So
And you guys have experienced quite a bit. Like, you guys have been quite a number of places, yeah?
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it feels,
How many countries roughly do you think you've
I think it's
traveled to?
about 12 or 13 countries and 17 different cities.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we traveled from Malaysia, like
That was the
Australia,
first one.
Malaysia, and then we moved to Europe.
Eastern, yeah?
Eastern Europe,
I
yeah.
remember.
Yeah,
And
so
you guys just plodding along, or making your way through.
that's true, yeah. I was always into, I don't know what, but anyway, just Eastern Europe always looked very interesting from my perspective. Like, it just, no one really talk about them, but because I really like the Russian kind of culture and the kind of those countries, those like these what is it, the those countries that used to have communism. I know this is sometimes considered very negative, but for me it's still fascinating. Even like
the idea behind it is, it's
I agree.
it's a good idea.
I agree. I mean, it got executed horribly in many countries, but I think the idea, like, share everything, it's not I don't think it's a horrible idea. Anyway, that's my opinion. And just these countries, some of the European countries, they used to have communism, and they ended quite recently, in 90s. So there is remnants of the culture, communism culture, and even the buildings and stuff. So I was always into this sort of side of the world, and they got me interested in countries like Romania, or even Estonia, those countries.
Estonia was amazing.
Yeah.
We had such a great time there, and just the people were so nice, and like even like the press there and everything really loved that we were there, and we ended up like in the Estonian newspaper and everything. It was a really, really bizarre time for us, but it was just I was really surprised by that country. It's very advanced, like in terms of its technology and everything, and it was just a really lovely country.
It looks more Swedish than Sweden. It sounds funny, but it looks more like
like your idea of
the culture, the how the whole country is designed. It looks more similar to IKEA than Sweden is to IKEA. It's so funny, but it really is, and the country is very pristine, clean, and
nice.
well, like people, I think Eastern Europeans have a bad rap of being rude, but I don't see it that way. I think they are just more serious, if anything. Maybe they're more reserved, and I think so we never had a bad experience by visiting Estonia or
No.
Latvia. People are definitely
Not online
different.
or offline for Estonians. Yeah, there was just never anything but love from them.
Yeah,
nice. I
so
gotta
that's
go.
very it's surprising because we have minorities there. Seriously, most people are
Oh, we stand
white
out.
people.
Yeah, we stand out. So,
yeah.
yeah, everyone's so lovely.
Mm.
That's good. I guess with the history, you know, there's a lot of like war-torn towns, cities.
Yeah.
So they probably like culturally have adapted this kind of realism approach to things.
I think so. It's true. And as an immigrant also, I feel like one thing I've kind of got used to here is that English people, Australians, anyone from English speaking countries, they value wit. Like if you think about it, in any situation, even if it's a very serious situation, even on news, they have to have some sort of wit, like a little bit of humor. That's a very important part. And I feel like that's maybe coming from the UK or something, but those English speaking countries have that, like you gotta have some sort of humor. Yeah, some sort of, like, even the worst situation, you gotta have humor.
And
even with the pandemic, like they make slang out of pandemic.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
It's like they have to have some sort of like, this sort of like wit. It's important. But I know in Korea we aren't like that. We laugh at a lot of things. We have our own humor.
But maybe not mix it.
But we don't mix it. Like when it's serious, it has to be that serious. Yeah. So I think I'm assuming maybe some of European countries have a similar culture to Korea, more like try to just be serious in a situation when you have to be serious. And when it's
there's
not.
a bit of truth in that. Yeah, come to think of it. Yeah.
That's one of the interesting things about travel is that is the people, like, just you really get to see like different cultures and how every culture really does have its quirks. And it's like, I mean, even like a bit like what Rachel's talking there, like in Australia, like I didn't quite notice it until Rachel points it out. And that's one kind of good thing when you're with someone from a different country is that you get to see it differently.
Yeah.
And like, for instance, you could be at the shops and, you know, some lady next to you can start talking and be like, oh, yeah, look at that kind of thing. What, like, strangers can talk to you and it's not that weird. Whereas in other countries, like, you're pretty weird if you start talking to random people. Whereas here, it's not that weird to cross someone on the street and say good morning.
Yeah.
Especially in certain cities, maybe in smaller towns, regional and stuff like that. And Brisbane is a lot more like that as well, comparably to Melbourne. But yeah, that's one of the things I find really interesting.
Just these little small kind of things we don't notice, we take for granted.
Yeah,
you know?
There's a lot of things I didn't notice about being Australian until Rachel kind of points it out to me. And I'm like, oh yeah, that is.
And probably if, you know, you went over to Korea, or you guys have been to Korea.
Yeah, I've been quite a few times. And yeah, I'm starting to, I think it really helped in our relationship because until you go to the other person's country, it really helps to know the culture because then you can kind of know what's Rachel's personality and what part of it is kind of more very Korean about it kind of thing.
Yeah. Just a deeper level of understanding.
Yeah, it's a deeper level of understanding. It's not something you require, but it does kind of, I think it's kind of helps.
More context to the background of, you know, her upbringing and
exactly. Even just like little things, knowing like in Korea they you know, they study like crazy, like their schooling is some ridiculous hours, like they finish at like 10 p.m. and things like that. 10
p.m.
It's
for kids.
It's insane.
Yeah, for high schoolers.
High schoolers, they go from the morning till like 10.
Definitely don't miss that. Yeah, definitely.
And little things like that. So, like, it just makes you realize why, like, for instance, Rachel's really studious. Like, when she decides to study something, she's doing it, like, all day long. And, you know, it's quite amazing.
The level of, like, concentration.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a cultural trait.
It is. I think it's a cultural trait.
It's a virtue, you know, it's very difficult for someone like myself to concentrate like that.
Oh, yeah, I'm horrible at it.
I was at the bottom of school, seriously, when I was younger. I really was. Studying is one of the weird things because you gotta learn it almost by yourself. Like I don't have shame to admit that I had a hard time to read. Like when I was younger, I remember like I couldn't read just without speaking it out. Like I had to kind of say this is that. Like I just didn't
English
know.
or
No,
like
in Korean. In
Yeah.
Korean, like I didn't know because I didn't have a mom. So my dad was one really good trait of him is that he doesn't, maybe it can be more like a childhood neglect, but sometimes he doesn't really care what we are doing. Like he encouraged us to do whatever we want to do.
Gave you the freedom.
Yeah, gave us the freedom, but also it meant that I didn't know how to study or fit in. So I didn't know how to read a book without speaking it loud. And that really explains everything because I was behind of everything. Like when people learned English when they were like 8, I started learning it when I was 10. The same for every subject. So I wasn't really good at studying, and even though I stayed at school till 10, that was just mandatory. So I had to do it, but that doesn't mean that I was really good at studying. I was mediocre towards the end, but I wasn't really amazing at studying or anything.
I think just people got their own different, techniques or ways to develop in their own
That's
development.
true.
You know? And as a kid, you don't know what that is.
Yeah.
No,
true.
you don't. Yeah, it's really, you don't know. Like,
It's not that you're bad at doing a particular
No.
thing. It's just that, as you just don't know it.
you don't
But
know
as you
it.
grow, you experiment.
That's
Sometimes
exactly.
you stumble upon something, and then you develop a different technique that is, different to the status quo. But then that could take you to a different level.
That's so true. I always find it very strange that our society want us to choose our life career defining decision when we reach like 19 or something, when we have to choose the subject for uni. It's so like, how do you know, like you're at school and then suddenly you've got to decide whether
the rest of your life.
Yeah, exactly. Like such a big task. And yeah, I wouldn't have chosen be a editor or filmmaker when I was that young. Like, we're all figuring out. Some people take more time, So
it's so important to try different things.
Exactly. Not all of us know the passion, and I know some sports stars and musicians know, since they're like 8 or something. But a lot of us don't know the path, but you have to choose suddenly. It's very.
That's true.
I found it very bizarre. Like really, it's unfair. Kind of people
It is.
have to
They
be
demand that from a young age.
young age. You have to find a passion.
Still not fully developed yet at 19.
No, exactly. Even till 20.
I think 21, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know like what I wanted to do or English.
Even people that are 40, 40 plus, they're still
figuring
trying
out.
to figure it.
I
figure it out.
agree.
Well, it's one of those weird things that, like, how can you ever know, too? So, like, you can even think that you want to be, like, a sports star and everything, but it could just be, what you think you should do. But, like, until you've, say, done something completely different, like tried music or tried, anything, you might like something even better.
That's
so,
right.
like you said, like, you have to actually experience the real life thing, not even studying, like to a certain extent, either doing the actual work.
Yeah, it's
until
more
you really
important, I
know.
think. Yeah, experimenting is more important to taste it all. And then once you feel it in yourself, like, oh, this is where I want to go.
Yeah.
It might not necessarily be the path that you're going to take for the rest of your life,
No.
but at least you go as far as you feel like is right.
Yeah, it can be right
And-
for that particular
yeah.
moment, because that's the funny thing is, if you're not a fully stubborn person, your personality changes over time. Your friends
Exactly.
change, your partners, everything changes over time. And so why shouldn't your job change over time as well too? Someone can, remain an accountant from when they're 21 to they're 50, but that whole period of time they've completely, changed their personality.
I always say that, even people's physical makeup changes every 7 years. Every cell in your entire body would change over a 7-year period. So you're a different person
That's
physically
interesting. Yeah.
That's
from
true.
7 years ago.
That's very interesting. And even the physical can really change what you decide to do as well too. So yeah, that's pretty interesting.
That's so
So
true.
always feel free, to change.
Change your path.
Yeah.
I think it's important because it's a cliche, but you only got one life to live, and it's important to always kind of tell yourself that every single day, because otherwise you just end up going through the motions. And I think the whole line of variety is the spice of life really is kind of true, because you can do your favorite thing for your whole life, but I still don't think it's really a life lived, even if it's your favorite thing. Like if you wanted to be an actor and you're an actor your whole life, you can have a great life, but I think
you could be missing out on something.
You could be missing out on something. But also, having said that, you can, switch, and there is no perfect life. I think that's the key, really. There is no right or wrong. Am I doing the right path? Am I doing the wrong path? It's just, it's kind of randomness to a certain extent, but I think it's good to try different things.
Yeah, I always like to say, bring it back to enjoyment. Always focus and bring it back to enjoy the journey,
Yeah, exactly. I think the level of your happiness really kind of dictates if you're doing the right thing, I guess.
Yeah. But it's so important to get it, to allow that freedom to try different things. And then once you do, get what you're passionate about, then that's when the importance of studying and concentration comes in.
Yeah, I agree, because like Nick said, sometimes I study, I'm glued to my desk and I study for 10 hours and stuff. But it's because now I finally know what I want to do and just my passion. And without knowing it, you can never do it. You can never you cannot study one thing for 10 hours, or you cannot do it. If it is forced, it's very...
The results will not be nearly as good.
Yeah. I think trying different things is the most important thing.
Well, I think the toughest thing is if that thing is a creative thing, it becomes a bit difficult, but just because of the way that society is structured. Of course, it's a lot difficult to get a paycheck from, deciding to want to do a podcast, for instance. And, if that's okay, I really want to get into it, because creative things, they take more time than, almost anything. And so you're having to juggle kind of a lot of things, and that becomes a bit tricky.
But the way I see it is that even if your goal is so high, if you work on it for at least 10 years, you maybe you may not be the person that you want it to be, but you might be working in that field. If you give 10 years, right now I'm 31 and I want to be a doctor suddenly, and if I put 10 years into becoming a doctor, I may become a doctor, or someone who is close to that, or actor too. It's being an actor seems impossible, and the competition is very high. So you think that you can never reach your goal. But if you work on it for 10 years, you dedicate your whole life to that, I believe that you will be something in that field.
You can definitely, the whole 10,000 hour rule, you can master something in 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
So dedicating 10 years of your life, you can definitely be great at something.
Yeah, you may not be...
but that's it.
Yeah.
Try to get it right before you start.
Yeah, it's just...
finding purpose, I think that's the key, isn't it?
I agree.
I think that's something important I think we need to teach our young is what is purpose, because that's one feat in itself.
Yeah.
Determining, what each person or each individual's purpose in life is, and then helping them discover it is the next one,
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, that's maybe that's the best thing that parents can do. Yeah.
So like on that, what do you think like your purpose is? Like what's your goals? Or like, what's your purpose in life? I think you mentioned earlier, you said that you have an idea now.
Well, I have so many dreams.
Yeah. As you should
Too many
have.
purposes.
You should have. Yeah.
I mean, so
What's a big one that you're
Okay,
really interested in? I think it'll help people if we can kind of articulate it, help people think about it as well.
I think YouTube definitely gave me a taste of filming. I realized it's funny. I learned so much about life through YouTube, and I'm not interested in being a host. That's why you see
more like
a lot
background.
Of times I'm more interested in like editing and filming and just
you guys got some
developing
really great
conceptions.
videos,
Developing.
Great editing.
That's thanks
Thank
to
you.
Rachel. She's doing all the editing.
Don't overlook the sound too.
Yeah.
I still remember the jingle.
Oh yeah, the jingle that
the
we
jingle,
made.
yeah.
It's good fun.
It's true. So I'm interested at that, and I
like this creator economy.
Yeah, I got too interested in more like really creating an art in a frame, like more. I'm not that interested in doing like a lot of like video, like camera techniques and stuff. That's not really my jam, but I like creating interesting scenes. I like documenting weird things, compositions and color correction and
Like art direction.
like
kind of
those angles. I got too interested in
Like education and videography.
Yeah, cinematography, like kind of that sort of thing.
Cinematography,
Yeah, sort of like design, the look.
like the aesthetic, the video
Aesthetics.
aesthetic
Of the video. So I'd like to work in that sort of
well,
field.
YouTube is definitely a place that you can,
yes,
share
mm.
and grow too.
To start, yeah.
It is a good place, but with the Rachel and Nick, I feel like you can't really go too far from your genre. So it's always tied to travel or mountains. So I don't mind doing it, but in the future, I'm thinking of creating more artistic stuff. Anyway, just more delivering a message through my art. So yeah, that's probably one of the things that I'd like to do in the future.
It'd be good if you could tie it in. I think you could possibly still tie it in with the Rachel and Nick thing every now and then. Don't deviate too much,
Yeah,
Maybe you guys think about it.
Yeah, YouTube is you have to be very consistent, and it's quite demanding sometimes because you can't really get out of the.
Once you amass like a certain kind of audience, they expect
exactly. That's what exactly happens. Like you have a certain audience, they expect you to do something.
Yeah, and if you don't, then exactly see it in the views and the reaction engagement.
Yeah.
Exactly,
it just doesn't grow.
Just like I don't know. Sometimes, let's say, an actor is very famous. I don't know, Brad Pitt or those people. Maybe what if he suddenly changes his career direction to something completely
like
different? Yeah, or comedy, like comedy or so those things.
I think he's done a little bit of comedy,
but like just it's not quite.
You lose fans.
Yeah, you just So I think probably I'll do my own thing.
Yeah. So what about yourself, Nick? What's
my life purpose? That's a tough one. Jeez.
That's why we're here.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I kind of realized over the years that I kind of see the people around me, including myself even, as like I try to see the ultimate goal is just being happy. So I try to kind of be happy with anything that I'm doing, to be honest.
Anything and everything.
Anything, even if it's a very normal job, like doing absolutely anything. So I try to start from there and just literally with good conversation, meeting good people in my relationship with Rachel and everything like that. So I try not to focus my happiness level on my career goal, because then I fear if you kind of do that, then you kind of
like the expectation gets
you're
blown
setting
out.
yourself up for like 50-50 chance of either being happy or not being happy, and that kind of seems too high for me. So I try to focus on just being happy every day, which is harder than it looks like for most people.
It's so key.
Yeah. So but in terms of actual career and stuff, it kind of I'm one of these people that like Rachel's really good at setting goals and achieving them, but I'm one of these kind of people that's kind of everywhere.
Like,
I like
just
to,
organic,
I just kind of like I like to do like a lot of little different things, and when you're kind of like that, it's hard to kind of succeed at that one thing when you're kind of doing a lot of different things. So I mean, at the moment, I'm writing an album. I'm trying to focus my energy on music, YouTube, and also working as well too, studying as well. So doing a lot at the moment because since the pandemic happened, we both kind of realized it's good to have backup plans, like just for security. So I'm studying full time.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Working almost full time, and also doing YouTube, doing a lot of things. But in terms of like my passionate goals, probably it revolves more around music. I've always kind of, whenever I've left music, it's always kind of been there in the background.
Yeah.
And because it's hard to know exactly what your true passion is, but I think if something's constantly bubbling up, then that's probably it.
And then an indication,
It is. And so that's kind of my passion. My goal is to just write albums because it's something that I know that will stay on forever.
Yeah.
Like it's something that like, you know, your friends, your family, and nieces, nephews.
Music just lives on.
It lives on. So like in the end, as sad as it sounds, everyone dies.
Yeah.
It's a shocker, but they do.
It's not a shocker to me.
And so I think having something, that's why I love our YouTube channel too, because it's this thing that can live on. And even now, like I love to look back at our old videos, and I try to do it every now and again because it's like you can really, I was reading a lot about,
captures a lot of moments too.
Yeah, I was reading a lot about time, and I really love science, and I'd like to read a lot about science, and just the concept of time I find very interesting because it's kind of the past, present, and future. It's all just kind of one.
Yeah.
And it's something
physics,
that we try to see time as like being this thing. It's like
linear.
The past is kind of not as important as the present and the future and all this kind of thing, but like it's all just one thing. And it's all you. You're there in the past, you're there in the future, there in the present. And so I do see just every day as being happy as being like the ultimate goal. And I try to make that like my biggest thing. So even when I'm having a shit day at work and stuff, I just try to
appreciate,
try to remain kind of, you know, positive.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my main aim.
That's a good one. Yeah, I like that. So like, I'll give you an example. My ultimate goal. So I've divided my life into 9 stages. And so the 9th stage is world peace. So I feel like I'm a problem solver. Like that's my passion.
Yeah.
Like I always like to just constantly trying to figure things out, you know?
Yeah.
Whether it be games or music or YouTube. I'm always trying to figure things out. And so I've learned solving problems. And so I thought, you know, pondered what's one of the most difficult ones, and that world peace almost seems impossible.
Yeah.
And so I reverse engineer that goal of, you know, trying to attain or implement some form of world peace, and I've brought it back to 9 stages. And so once I reach that 9th stage, I've kind of I have accepted death as the next stage after that. So my final destination is death, basically.
Yeah.
Like I'm living to die.
Yeah.
But before I do, all these things, you know, I'm going to enjoy each one.
That's brilliant. That's almost what I'd call the ultimate noble goal, really. And I really love that. And that like brings me back to thinking like one of the things I did kind of want to do was go into politics to a certain extent. And my family's always been really big into politics. My my older brother's counsellor of Maribyrnong, actually.
Oh, well.
Yeah. So, and I've really thought that
You could do it, you know. You speak very articulate, you know.
I would hope I could, but I just, you know, I see that whole world as very kind of negative to a certain extent as well, and like kind of counterproductive to getting peace, because just like anything, I feel like politics has kind of become just a business in itself. So
True.
But I do think that, like, ideally that would be the ultimate goal, is trying to find peace in the world for yourself and for others and for everyone. And I think it's a great goal.
Yeah.
But what I love about that goal is it's a goal that even if it's not achieved, you can die a happy person.
Yeah, exactly.
And you die
because that's
complete.
my purpose, you know.
Yeah, because, you know, you die complete because, you know, you've tried to do
exactly
in my opinion, the most moral thing you can do.
Yeah, so we're getting pretty deep on this one.
Yeah, I know, that got pretty intense.
That's what we're all about.
Yeah.
Being in the moment.
That's funny.
All right, might have to lighten things up a little.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, once again, thanks for coming on. You know?
Oh, no worries. No, I absolutely loved it.
So food's a big one.
Yeah, it's big. Yeah, I love food. Yeah, we love food. I think. You probably less like it.
I'm really interested in like Korean, especially like some good Korean places you got to tell me, but also like Chilean food.
Chilean food,
because I remember seeing a video of you speaking about it, and I remember you were saying like you like very bready kind of things, you know. It's very similar to like where I come from.
I love any baked goods, like a bakery. Yeah. Like when we were overseas, we're just always going like to try to find that kind of stuff. Yeah, bread, anything. I think it's something that like really comes down to like old school humans, because just, you know, that was the first kind of food.
Yeah,
you know,
bread.
Anything with bread, and just I just absolutely love it. So I seek it out.
Fresh bread.
Yeah, fresh bread. There's nothing like it.
Bit of butter.
Chilean bread is so good.
Chilean bread is really good. You gotta get on that.
Yeah, there's one place that sells Chilean food. Chilean, you know, what is it? The bread. Yeah, Chilean bread.
Here
in
Maidstone.
Maidstone.
Yeah.
It's like a bakery there called Marcianos.
It's really good. Like, we love it.
I have to go. I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah, you gotta check it out.
You should. It's just. Yeah, and after tasting them, like I see a loaf of bread is too bland.
Terrible. Australian bread, actually, to be honest, like we love going to supermarkets, like everywhere, like even here, overseas. Just the most fun thing to do. Like supermarket for me is a theme park. I love it. Yeah. Like that's where I want to go first when I go overseas. But here in the bakery section, it's not so good, especially comparable to like
Coles is not so bad.
I love Coles. I think Coles is probably the best.
Out of all of them,
probably the best supermarket.
I think Australian supermarkets, they are probably one of the best supermarkets. Seriously, we've been to many different supermarkets overseas, and what I found that very amazing is that the Australian supermarkets are really immaculatively clean, wide, colorful. It's so new. Everything looks new and. Just, it's amazing. Yeah, we love just exploring supermarkets here. But bread definitely, I think other countries do better. Yeah, especially countries like Poland. Poland, Germany. Those countries.
Yeah, Germany's got amazing,
France.
Massive bread sections in their supermarkets.
Yeah, definitely.
It's massive.
Massive. Like we saw they were baking bread at 10 or something like that, very late in Poland.
Oh yeah,
at Aldi. Yeah. And we was like, who's gonna buy bread now? But they do. Oh,
like for the night.
Yeah, not at 10. Yeah, they're baking. Like they take bread very seriously. Yeah.
They do.
Well, it must be good.
Yeah.
It's very good.
It's very good.
We love bread. Yeah.
I got sidetracked just thinking of food. Right, a little water break in.
Yeah.
what's the food we must try if we go to New Zealand?
New Zealand, yeah. Well, you got to try the traditional, hangi. Very big on shellfish.
That's
Do
good.
you guys
I
eat-
love seafood.
I'm not a big seafood person,
Yeah.
but I like some seafood.
I love seafood.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you love it.
Yeah, I can have them all instead of him. Yeah.
Hopefully, this travel bubble opens up soon. And
I
is that
definitely,
something you guys would consider traveling around NZ?
I definitely think New Zealand probably most likely be our next destination in this new COVID world kind of thing that we're living in.
Yeah,
Like-
I think so.
At least go for a little holiday, maybe
Yeah.
a weekend trip, maybe
Yeah.
long weekend.
I think it's usually pretty
Yeah.
pretty cheap to get over there
I hope so.
Yeah.
comparatively to.
Because with the demand, it might be quite high.
That's true. That's true.
That's true.
So our next destination will probably most likely be Tasmania.
I was just thinking Tasmania.
Yeah, because we haven't gone there before, and it's like so close, and
Yeah.
like literally, I think an hour flight or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that will probably most likely be our next destination
Definitely
this
go.
year,
Yeah.
and then probably New Zealand the next year, or somewhere in Asia as well. Those kind of safe countries at the
Yeah.
moment, like Singapore or
Yeah.
something
Singapore's
like that.
a good one, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see the landscapes in New Zealand, but I'd like to go to the main part of the cities and like Auckland,
Yeah.
Wellington. Yeah, those places. I feel like they must have something very different to Australia. I know.
Yeah, Wellington's very similar to here, just on a very smaller scale. It's got trams there. It's got the culture. It's got
Yeah.
a little bit of the coffee cafe culture there.
Really?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Wellington's very similar to Melbourne. Yeah. Auckland's very similar to Sydney. Yeah.
Sydney.
But definitely you got to check out the South Island. Yeah, it's very beautiful there. Especially Queenstown. Like if I could afford a place there, I would buy in Queenstown.
Really?
Mm.
Yeah, I'd love to go all of them too.
Yeah.
Well, you guys will, I'm sure.
I'm sure
Oh,
we will.
we will.
Just-
Yeah.
I'm sure it's
naturally
a matter
get
of
there.
time that we'll get there.
Mm.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah. Like we're pretty much settled now here in Melbourne. But
Just waiting it out,
yeah, I have this insatiable wanderlust that I still love like traveling and going places.
Yeah.
And I'm not a hiker, or like I don't look for extreme sports when I go overseas, but I like just the subtle differences, nuances between countries. Like, the fact that I always mention that in Serbia, they have ashtray on each table at a cafe.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Smoking is such a normal thing.
Just little things. Yeah.
But those are the very fascinating ones. Like I find them very
It's the little things that are interesting.
Yeah, the way
things, yeah.
people live.
It's like just stepping into another dimension kind of thing,
Yeah.
especially when you go to places that have the same language. So everything else is the same, but everything else is a little different. It's kind of cool.
It's like I say to a lot of like my friends like that don't travel that much. It's like you're going to another planet almost.
It is.
It is.
This is another form of like interstellar travel.
It is.
That's
You
so
know?
true.
It's the closest we'll get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like things
You get to
that
another country and just everyone is different. And,
different. Yeah. It's like things that are so big here, like something like a banana bread is such a
Yeah.
common thing here, but it's nothing.
Somewhere around the world,
Yeah.
people
Just doesn't
have a
exist.
different
They don't care
opinion.
about them. Yeah, they have their own thing,
Or maybe never heard of that.
Yeah.
Never,
Exactly. It's just I find these nuances they are so
Yeah, that's why I love travel.
Eye-catching
It's just
and-
like going to
it's
another
just
planet.
so much fun. Like I don't know how you can travel and not have fun. It's just there's so much going on, and even the little things are fun.
Even like-
absolutely anything, you can walk into a bank and you'll have fun there because
Yeah.
it'll be different.
a bit different.
The thing I say is like travel is the best form of education. know?
That's
Because you're
true.
just constantly learning,
You
you're
do.
absorbing it all in, all this information.
You do.
It's so true. Yeah.
And
It's,
you just become better with people in general because especially living in a very kind of multicultural place, like people are from all over the shop. So just if you're walking down the street, you're meeting people at a party and stuff who's from, Poland or something. You'd be like, you can kind of straight away understand a little bit more about them.
And they would appreciate it. And
it just becomes a bit easier, I think.
And you get to see your own country more objectively too. It's like
through other people's eyes, like,
that's a bit weird.
I guess we do that. What's like a Chile thing that people recognize, I suppose, like a stereotype? I don't know too many stereotypes about Chile.
Yeah, well, it's one of those kind of countries that's kind of in the background, like
an
under the
obscure
radar.
country.
Yeah, it's always
It's
under
always
the
like
radar.
the cool kind of under the radar.
It doesn't really get talked about much, Chilean, and even like when I do kind of meet Chileans, like at my work or anything like that, like no one ever can guess that I'm Chilean either, because I kind of just, I don't know, don't look it apparently. But Chile's one of those weird places. It's kind of a mishmash of South America. It doesn't really have its own very popular things. I guess Chilean wine is quite popular overseas and stuff, but beyond that, like, it doesn't really have famous food culture. It doesn't have any kind of...
Not even like the meat, because I know Argentina, they're quite big on their meat.
Yeah, they're quite big on their meat, but again, it just doesn't reach the fame that places like Argentina have, so it doesn't quite make it. So here in Melbourne, you see the fancy Argentinian barbecue restaurants, but Chileans have almost identical food, but it's just not quite as good.
Don't get the recognition.
Exactly. So there's really nothing. It's film industry, like nothing quite as hitting the pop culture, I guess. Like it's music, kind of, just nothing's quite made it. There needs to be some Chilean who really kind of, lifts the culture.
Could be
worldwide.
a travel couple.
Yeah, it could be.
You guys are quite popular in Estonia, I heard.
Yes. We would love to go to, because Rachel's never gone to Chile yet. It's...
weren't you guys like planning to get there at the end of your travels?
Yeah, it was one thing that we were thinking, but just the way things panned out, we ended up going to Korea instead.
Okay. Was that your first time in Korea?
No, that was like my third time in Korea, but just because we don't have much opportunity for Rachel to visit her family and stuff too. So we thought,
that's nice though.
But we'll
definitely have to go to Chile.
Oh, yeah, definitely,
we'll get
sure.
there one day.
Yeah.
But I think Rachel hears a lot of stories of how dangerous it is in South America in general. Chile is one of the safest ones. Probably.
You got the mountain range there.
Yeah, you got the mountain range blocking all the other dodgy South Americans. Yeah. But it, like anywhere, I think, and like while we were traveling too, like I was thinking, is there going to be any dangerous situations where we're walking around with very expensive equipment? But they're never, like, I think once we almost got robbed.
Oh, in Serbia.
But
where?
In Serbia.
Like as we were walking down the main street and just...
People just kind of noticed you had some gear.
Well, luckily for us, someone else who was next to us warned us. He's like, you got to move your bag because it's sitting kind of behind you and that person behind is about to steal your stuff. Yeah. So thankfully, the kindness of strangers,
nice.
We got away with that. But beyond that, like we went a lot of places, filming constantly, like really kind of put ourselves out there. So everyone was looking.
Display your gear.
Yeah, well, like the very obvious tourists, which I don't like being the obvious tourists so much. Okay. But when you got a camera and you're like walking around like this, you really stick out. But thankfully, we never had an issue. So, and
it's good.
It brings me back to the whole Chile thing. I think every country has its dangerous parts and suburbs.
Yeah.
And it's
even
here, like Melbourne's probably, probably have
still safe, but
it's safe. It's more like anything.
To other places.
If you're walking around at 1 a.m. in a kind of a dangerous area anywhere in the world, you're probably going to have some issue there. But beyond that, it's just
alcohol mixed in there. And people not thinking right,
Exactly. Beyond that, it's just bad luck. Like it's like winning the lottery, but opposite, essentially.
Yeah. Is there like a desert in Chile?
Yeah, so up north there's a desert. I went
north.
I went there kind of just before the desert once with my family, and like they've got the clearest skies in the world. It's probably one of the known things about Chile is a big part of its tourism is what they call the astrotourism. So it's just people go there to see the stars because they got like a lot of the biggest telescopes in the world. And I was shocked at how amazing it was. Like, just we'd booked this hotel with just clear ceiling, and just like sitting in bed
Clear
looking up
ceiling.
and just seeing shooting star after shooting star,
Really?
like just endlessly. Like, and it was just incredible. I really want to go back and take Rachel and show her that kind of part of Chile. It's really, really beautiful.
Nice. There you go.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Eat some chili steaks.
I think so.
I'd love to go back. Yeah, I'd love to go there.
Yep. Just gotta wait it out, you know.
Mm.
Apply a little bit of patience.
Yeah, we'll
I
get
think
there.
so. Yeah.
Mm.
I think it's kind of. I miss traveling, but not as much anyway. Because
Well, you guys did a big one.
yeah, we did a
It's
big
exhausting.
one.
Yeah,
Traveling's
it would
fun,
be,
but
yeah.
man, it's tiring.
It's tiring.
Even just traveling is exhausting.
Oh,
but
it
you
is.
guys were like creating content and then finding means to
Like,
afford things.
Even
you
hearing
guys
you
would have been
talk about
flat
it
out.
makes me like,
Like, whew.
it was
Yeah.
seriously. I think
People
almost-
don't realize how exhausting travel can be, you know?
It is.
The airports and the
Exhausting.
this and the that.
and when you're trying to film it at the same time, it
Yeah.
becomes incredibly exhausting.
like my legs were hurting. Like, shopping
Oh.
legs.
Yeah.
You get it almost every day
Mm.
when you travel.
You're always on the go, eh?
Yeah, always on the go, and yeah, it's just non-stop. So that's why I don't really miss traveling. And if we do, it'll be a shorter trip.
And we'll
anyway.
probably do it a bit differently because even that time around, we literally didn't take one day off. I think, like for most of it,
Every day
like,
had to count, hey? Just,
yeah, every day was
Just
counting,
go.
and every day we wanted content, and so we were
Mm.
just going to like 5 or 6 places every single day for about
That's
a
pretty
year.
amazing,
So-
you know? Like,
it was fun though. Like I don't regret it.
it'd be
'cause,
fun,
like,
but full on.
it's fun but full on. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
maybe give it some time and then that thirst will come back.
It will.
I
it
think
will.
so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in an ideal world, I'd like to have like home here, and maybe we stay here for 6 months,
And then travel,
for 6
and do a
months,
big
come
one,
back.
and then
Yeah.
come back and replenish. That's kind of what
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
But with young kids, it's very difficult. So I'm applying that patience too. You know.
Oh yeah, of course you'd have to be with having
so
kids
hard,
and
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
That's true.
But I think that's one way I like it is like you base yourself and then you save and you know
Yeah.
you work it up and you plan
Mm.
and then you go in and you do a big one and you come back and then
I think it's a lot better having a base. Like we
Mm.
know some people who travel like literally non-stop and they do YouTube and things like that, and it's so exhausting. But for some people, they just it becomes like anything. It becomes a habit and you get used to it. But like I could not imagine being full-time traveler. Like
yeah.
literally.
But you guys
full-time.
did it though.
We did it.
We did it.
We did it.
Um,
but we couldn't
we-
keep going.
yeah,
I think.
I think we got to appreciate
Mm.
how good it is to have
Like a bit
some
of
sort of
stability.
stability. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, having a home. So I think, the next time we do it, we'll do it with having a base
Mm.
here to come back to. So that way we can always shoot off, come back, shoot off, come back.
Mm.
More do our kind of holidays or even / business trips and then be able to come back.
Yeah,
Mm.
that'd be good. Or you could grow your channel and your other things, and then you could
We
do
could.
it full time. And
We could.
No, we could.
We could.
A lot of people do that, like
yeah,
digital
it's
nomads
definitely
and-
possible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
digital nomads and things like that.
Some of our friends do that, and
Mm.
but it can
not
be
easy,
quite
but
yeah.
yeah.
But I think having your permanent home, where you have a proper studio, you
Yeah,
have a
that's
proper
right,
desk
yeah.
and stuff. It's pretty important, I think. It's
Mm.
just makes you more
Yeah, why not? You know,
productive
why not
and
still have a base but travel quite frequently?
Yeah. And I think for any kind of person who pursues influencing,
Mm.
I think it's a dangerous game making that your 24/7 because just
Yeah.
for your mental health.
mental health.
Because
Mm.
it's like any job. If you're doing any kind of office job 24/7 and you live and breathe
Yeah.
it, you're going to get stressed. So
Yeah,
even though
rest is so important,
yeah,
and not just sleeping rest, but like actual detachment from
exactly. There's some influencers
aspects in your life.
who just go to restaurants and they're eating, they're having fun, and they're doing all the most
Or
luxurious
it's the
things.
face, you know.
And it seems so perfect, but like they're doing a
Mm.
lot of hard work there, a lot of research and all the rest of it. And so everything becomes work, even no
Yeah.
matter how
They miss
great
the
it
fun,
looks
you
from the
know?
outside. Yeah,
They miss the appeal of it all.
you can. Like even that happened with us sometimes when
Mm.
we're working for hotels and we're staying in 5-star luxury rooms. It was awesome, but we're kind of working very hard trying to get the best video for them and stuff, and you miss out on the relaxing part of that.
Yeah.
You still take it all in, but you definitely miss out on the relaxing part
Yeah.
of that
It
experience.
brings on a lot of anxiety, I think. Yeah.
It does. So
Mm.
definitely, I don't think I'd ever want to be one of those 24/7 influencers.
Yeah.
And it always,
I think that's smart. Yeah.
yeah, because and it's again like, not to get too negative or anything, but like we're living in a pandemic, but like the whole mental health is like pandemic in itself, because there is not one person on earth that doesn't have mental health issues.
Mhm.
And I think
So true.
influencers probably have it one of the worst, because they do
There's no
have
support
constant
for
yeah
it,
there's no support, there's no kind of understanding. It's not something that's been done
it's
for
not new.
decades. It's quite new. So I think even people are now starting to realize, okay, what is the effect of some Instagrammer who's been doing it for 10 years in a row? Only now you're starting
You
to
have
see
to
it.
think about it, you know. You're putting yourself out there constantly for a certain expectation of validation,
Yeah.
for vanity
Oh yeah, definitely.
metrics.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
know, it's got to play with your psychology somehow.
Oh, when your money is dependent on the views that you
That's
get
it.
and the likes that you get
For
that's-
survival.
Yeah, for literally their way of life.
Mm.
That's pretty big pressure. And
Extreme.
And some of these people and some of the platforms, the way that the algorithms work, if they're off it, like if you're off Instagram not doing stories for a certain amount of time, it can really affect your career.
Penalize you in some way of
Exactly. So
exposing the reach,
yeah,
which
exactly.
then feeds back into you doing it.
Yeah, so it's definitely something that, probably, I don't know what will happen in the future with all of that, but definitely I think there's
it's
a lot
getting
of
better
burnt out creators out there,
Yep.
for sure.
Not to say there isn't some, people out there doing it the right way.
Well, there's some personalities that are just born to do that kind of thing, and they're just,
Sorry.
that's all right. There's some people out there that are just born to do that kind of thing. They really are. And so they're just kind of more out there people, more extroverted and all the rest of it. They might have, not as much natural anxiety that others have. And so, it's fine for those people.
Yeah, so funnily enough, we've been talking a lot about the mental health side of things on this podcast. I didn't realize just how prominent it is,
Oh, it's
I just
big.
wanted people to come and share their life. And
Maybe it's just
everyone's
us.
just coming out like,
Yeah.
it's like a reoccurring thing that I seem, just so common. Like almost every person is dealing with it.
Oh, it is. And that's why I think it's so important not to put people on pedestals, people you see online, celebrities.
Oh, I
actors.
respect you guys, man, because you guys are cool. I just love travel that much.
Oh, absolutely love it.
Yeah, we respect you too, definitely.
thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're
You
so
guys-
creative. It's
Yeah.
incredible. I really respect people who are creative and doing different things, like doing podcast, animation, YouTube, all
It's
those
so
things.
much talent. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Is there anything else that you guys wanted to talk about or mention?
Well, I think we've probably covered everything.
Covered almost everything. The meaning of life, have we not covered? I think
I'm sure there's a lot
we
to
almost
still
came up
talk
with the
about.
meaning there. It was close.
Yeah. Well, for me, I think the house sitting experience was definitely one of the most quirky experiences I've ever had, because it's funny that people glamorize things like that, because the idea of it is really just so good. Like you travel
like house
at the
sitting,
same
or just the actual influencer side of things.
Oh, house sitting,
Oh,
actual
house
house sitting. And people glamorize it because you can stay at a house and you look after the animals or plants, and pretty much
And
you
do
can
you
travel.
pay
No,
something, or you get
you
to
don't.
stay there?
Mostly, you
Just get a
don't
trade-off?
stay.
Yeah, it's just a trade of
Yeah.
accommodation.
Yeah, it's
And
like $1 saved, $1
yeah.
earned. You
Fridge
know?
Yeah.
privileges, maybe, if they've got some food in there.
Fridge
Yeah, that's
privileges.
true. You get-
It's like the
But,
babysitter club.
But we got to learn so much about how other people live. Like we got to learn like what kind of snacks they always have.
Oh yeah, like it kind of shows a bit of their personality. I
Yeah,
suppose.
definitely,
In the cupboards
definitely
in the
does.
fridge.
Yeah, it definitely
Yeah,
does.
you
This
get to
person likes
see-
chocolate.
Yeah, you get to see like all British people have this certain product in their
Oh,
pantry. All
really?
Australians have this in their pantry.
Yeah.
And
That's
it's quite
true.
consistent too.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
things like putting oven, like what is it? Oven, not plates. What are they? But trays and stuff. They keep them inside the oven.
Oh.
It's
some
very
people keep
common
them-
in
We
the
do that.
UK. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
That's
Really?
true. It's really common in the UK.
It's
yeah.
common in the UK, not really here, but maybe New Zealanders
New
they
Zealand,
do
UK.
too.
It makes sense though. to-
It
to leave
makes
in.
sense.
As long as it's clean.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think because we just try to make space in the cupboard, you know, for
yeah.
other.
Because it's so
Oh.
hard to
stuff.
put that stuff in the cupboards.
Yeah.
That's
And plus, if
true.
you're using the oven quite frequently, it's just easier accessible, you know.
That's true.
Whereas you go in the
That's so
cupboard and you got
true.
all these other bowls and the things on it, you know, like trying to move it around.
That's
I
so
think it's more
true.
practical.
That's so true. Yeah, that's so true.
Or it's just a quirky, weird thing that we do.
Like yeah, and sometimes we were so stressed at some houses, especially one of the houses was in Brisbane, and we looked after 2 whippets, and the house was one of the most lavish apartments probably.
It's pretty amazing.
It
yeah.
was
It had
a
an amazing
quite,
view over the Brisbane
like-
River and the Story Bridge, and
It was Storybridge was really so close. And yeah, we looked after these 2 beautiful whippets, and we were just like, I felt like we were walking on the eggshells, even though the host weren't there. Like I felt like because
Oh, yeah.
everything's made of marble.
Could be some cameras.
yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
In
another
a nice
thing.
place like that.
Yeah,
That's true.
that's another thing. But yeah, everything's made of marble. Like everything
Oh,
is so.
that's cool.
It's so like
Didn't
so
have to pay, eh?
scary. Yeah, you can't really.
Oh.
You can't really break or. I can't imagine breaking anything there, but just so perfect. So you have to be so careful. And
How long were you there for?
we were there for about
A couple of weeks,
a
maybe.
couple of
Oh,
weeks.
2 weeks.
But it felt like it was so long because the duties were much more than any other places because
Mm. It's a
had
big
to-
place, yeah?
it was an apartment, but a big
Oh,
apartment.
It was a
Big
massive
apartment.
It
apartment.
was a massive apartment, and we had to get up at 5 a.m. to go for a walk. But you have to go for a walk with other neighbors where they usually
We
who
had to
they,
stay
they
on their
usually
usual
meet.
walk schedule. So we'd get up
Oh.
at 5 and go meet up with all the neighbours who had their dogs,
Yeah.
and we'd be walking these
For
dogs
an hour?
every morning. Yeah, for an hour,
For an hour,
and then at
and-
night as well too.
11 a.m. we go for a walk again to the dogs to pee or do
Mm.
anything. So, and then we go for a walk again at night
Mm.
with another neighbor, and it was just we had such a tight schedule, and we had to keep it because
That's part of the arrangement, huh?
Yeah.
And the thing is, if we don't do it, because the
Mm.
thing about house sitting is that if you don't walk the dog, no one can tell you, because they can't tell if you've done it or not.
Mm.
But we did it. But this time there were neighbors.
Maybe that was a strategic plan.
It
It's like,
was. They forced us to do it.
Yeah.
Luckily, that
we
was,
walked the dog, yes.
Luckily, that was so friendly. Otherwise, we'd be stuck
Mm.
with really mean neighbours for an
Oh.
hour every morning. So they were super friendly.
No, the
Oh, that's nice.
neighbors were really kind. I mean, the hosts were really nice too, but it took
These are
its toll
smart
on my
neighbours, eh?
health.
Yeah, house sitting's definitely. I'd recommend people do it because it's kind of fun and different,
Mm.
and it's handy for when you're traveling anywhere, even locally.
Yeah, no, this definitely sounds like a great
Yeah.
strategy
It-
to implement into
yeah.
your travels, you know?
Mm.
Unexpected things happen to us, also health concerns.
Oh.
Actually, we got flea bites
Oh, okay,
from
yeah,
a
like bed
house.
bugs, and
Yeah,
all
well,
those kind of things.
Yeah,
Mm.
there was
it's really common in a lot of hostels and
yeah
even hotels, to be honest.
Yeah, there was a house in Brisbane,
Mm.
and she had this cat, and she's one of the hippies. she left all her windows and doors open. Just I don't know. It may be a Queenslander thing, but just she didn't concern about security. So the cat was always outside, and I don't know, brought
Must
some
have brought
sort
it
of
back in, yeah.
yeah. And we got like hundreds flea bites
Both
on our
of you?
legs. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going
Hundreds.
insane.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's annoying, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're going insane. Our legs were completely red, and it was too much, really. Yeah.
When was that? Was that like
It was
last year?
Last year.
Yeah, that was last year.
year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, when we first came back.
Yeah, so you're dealing with that as well, eh?
Dealing with that, and also from another cat, another house, and there was a kitten, and this cat was quite newly adopted, and that was the last house actually we stayed, and we came back to Melbourne, and then I got this massive bite on my leg. It looked like a spider's bite, so I thought it's a spider bite, but turned out it's a
Maybe a tick.
ringworm.
Ringworm, yeah.
So
You take tablets.
I took tablets, but it's kind of spreaded. It spreads fast. So
You get that from dogs and cats.
yeah, dogs and cats. It was quite hard, but we haven't actually experienced the worst of it because our friends, a couple who do house sitting regularly too, they had such a horrible experience with their animals there.
Yeah, because sometimes like you can't help what happens to the dogs or cats. So if the dog goes off and does something silly and they hurt themselves, then you're going to emergency vets at midnight and all this kind of thing. So it can definitely be something that it can be. It's a risk to a certain extent because animals are quite random.
It's like
very random. Yeah,
it's like traveling. Before you do, you get the travel insurance. You think, oh no, it's just 14 days. Nothing's gonna happen. But something happens within the time.
Murphy's Law.
Exactly. Because you put yourself out there more too, and you're going out every day, and you're doing different things. Just more chance that things happen.
Oh, yeah.
We ended up in hospitals in quite a few different countries.
Really?
Yeah. There's always something.
Well, and we were about to have some fatal accidents too sometimes. So in Italy.
Near fatal, huh?
Yeah.
One was almost a bit of a Final Destination kind of thing that happened in Italy. We were just on a train carriage and suddenly a part of the train came.
No, there was our train was going this way, and then there was another train.
That's right.
That was coming towards us, but it was right next to our train.
It was going the other way.
Because of the speed and wind, it broke our train's window.
It just shattered the window
that close,
massively, the glass going everywhere.
And it happened. The pieces of glass, happened to fall just below our carriage or something. So we stopped and we heard a massive bang.
It was so scary. It sounded like the train exploded. We're like, oh my God.
And then you're like, what next? Huh?
Exactly. So we're so shocked that so we were lucky that we got a replacement train, but it was one of the most expensive,
adrenaline must have been pumping.
Yeah, one of the scariest experiences.
It's just funny. Yeah, you just
and then you're out overseas.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't know where you are in Italy.
Yeah,
it's don't know.
And I find that they still speak quite strong Italian there,
Oh yeah, there's not many people who speak, or we didn't come across where we were, people who spoke English a lot or very well. Yeah, they always try. Yeah. But
Italians.
Yeah, Italians. They usually speak a bit, but it's very heavy accent.
That's true.
Oh, interesting, eh? All right.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, we
better wrap it up.
A lot, yeah.
Oh, that was almost 10 minutes shy of 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
Well, I feel like we can still talk a lot, but I got to go.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
We'll take the kids back, otherwise I might not do the next podcast.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
Yeah.
It's been awesome, man.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us on. Yeah,
Rachel and Nick, everyone check out their YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah, that'd be good.
Help them travel more.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a Patreon?
We used to.
we
but
still do. It's kind of on pause just
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
until we travel again, we don't
Yeah.
really want to be, taking people's money.
Yeah, exactly. You can
Yeah.
use it for Tasmania.
That's true. That's true.
Maybe when the New Zealand, Australia travel bubble opens up.
Yeah.
we can hit on pause. I
that's
think so.
true.
Yeah.
Mm.
Right. Well, yeah, I'll try post it up, put in the description in there so
Oh,
people
yeah.
can see and
Sounds
follow.
good.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely help you guys travel more.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Yeah.
No, it's been awesome.
Oh, yeah.
And hopefully you guys can come back maybe in the future.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
It's so much fun. Yeah.
Or maybe we could do a podcast somewhere overseas. Yeah, we can
That's
meet up.
true. That'd be a
Mm.
good one.
Yeah.
And we can invite you on our podcast
Yes.
maybe when we have one.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I'll bring my kids.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Is there anything you want to say to the camera? A little something?
The
Um,
camera's there. I forgot the camera was even there. Just
Yeah. Let me.
there you go. Oh, there we are. Okay. I'll probably have my back to the audience
that's
the
all right.
whole time. Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah. Thanks so much.
Yeah,
We really had.
Really had a great time, and I can't wait to be back for next time.
Mm.
Mm.
And what's some travel advice out there?
Travel advice. Ooh, probably just save.
Check out your channel. I think
Yeah,
that's a
check-
good
check-
one.
check out our channel.
Check
That's
out the
a good way
channel.
of doing it,
You
yeah.
guys got, like for myself, I always watch
Yeah.
a lot of your guys' content to learn, some advice and tips
Yeah.
on travel. And, there's a lot of places where you guys have gone to eat at some places where I'm like, I got to go there,
That's true. That's probably the best
Yeah.
kind of advice to give is
Yeah,
go
just
on.
check-
Is YouTube. Like there's
Yeah,
so many travel
YouTube.
channels and
Yeah,
you get
there
really
is,
good
yeah.
tips.
That's true.
Yeah.
But also I'll say think about put your safety and health like at the top
Paramount.
of the priorities
Mm.
because that's really everything. If you
Yeah.
can't function, you cannot travel.
You
know?
can't travel anyway.
Yeah. Always take a safer option.
Mm.
Mm.
And
Well,
save.
It's
Save
very
a lot
wise
of money.
advice.
The more you save, the more you can do.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Mm.
All right, we'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.